Hey, welcome to another episode of Dating Boutique TV. And I am your host, Amanda Rose, celebrity matchmaker and dating expert, just ready to give you all the good things on dating. Today, I'm going to just go through a question that I saw about dating. And I thought it was it was something, again, that needs to be addressed when it comes to the dating world. And I think that a lot of times, because men and women communicate differently, it gets in the way of dating, and it's not supposed to be like that. So I want to make it easier for you guys and break it down so that you know what to do in these situations. Okay, so this anonymous person said, am I being ridiculous for being bothered by a man who says he really likes me, but takes 2 or more hours to respond to a text, making it nearly impossible to hold a conversation? And some background information on this question. They are not dating. They've only been chatting on an online dating app. So they haven't actually met in person. They don't live near each other, but he's moving to her area. And it's only been a few weeks that they've been chatting online. So her friends are telling her to move on, that he's not worth communicating with. And she asked him to change and respond to her faster. So what are your thoughts? Go on and drop your thoughts below on what you think she should do. And I'm going to tell you from a matchmaker perspective and a dating expert perspective what I see in this conversation. So many things. I see so many things wrong with this. Because you know what? I see singles get attached to people way too soon. You haven't met this person yet. You're just chatting online. You haven't met this person yet. You're not even dating. You haven't had a first date. They have FaceTime, so he is real. He's not, I don't think, trying to catfish her. But the thing is, why invest so much energy and a thought process into this person that you've never even met? Even if you had been dating just for just went on a few dates, why invest that much thought process and energy into a person that you don't know if they're worth even investing in, right? Dating is a process. Dating is learning about the person that you're newly dating or talking to. It's not a time to get so invested into them that you lose track of what your end goal is, because this might not be your person. So you shouldn't put all your energy into one person at this point. She should still be dating online, swiping. She should be going out, meeting new people, and not even thinking about okay, if this man is not the one, then a big deal. If he doesn't text me back right away, who cares? You're just getting to know him, right? It's just a pen pal at this point. And that's exactly what I said. He's just a pen pal at this point. He's not someone you're dating. So yes, I think it's ridiculous to be bothered at this point, because you're wasting your precious time and energy and your thoughts on someone that you don't even know is worth dating or not, which to me is ridiculous, right? So second, I'm going to just go through it all, because this message, I was surprised that she was so invested into sending the message, even questioning this, and being invested in this person who she doesn't even know. Okay, so if someone takes a few hours to respond, who cares? Everybody has a life. And if they don't, that to me is a red flag. If someone is constantly on their phone and they're quick to respond, and they don't you have a job? Don't you have hobbies? Don't you have things going on? Why are you so glued to your phone all the time? That would be my number one concern if they respond like that. Because when I'm working, or when I'm reading a book, or when I'm with my family and friends, and I get a text, I might look at it, but I might not respond for a while. I'm known to sometimes not respond for a day or so, or maybe I completely forget. But not that you should completely forget, but I'm saying, like, unless it's my husband, my children, pretty much that's it. Like my husband and my children, yes, I will respond to them right away. Sometimes even my husband though, like I forget. Well, but because it's not important. If he texts me something that's not important, like I'm like, oh, then I'll get back to him. But we've been like that since we were dating. Like we both were very busy in our careers. And if we didn't respond to each other right away, it wasn't a big deal. We didn't care. Like we didn't get mad at each other because we had a life outside of our phone and texting each other. But we still, like, even when we were dating, it wasn't like, there were probably some times when we didn't talk all day. It wasn't until like our fifth date or something. I don't remember third or fifth date that we actually started communicating every single day. But at that point, we had, we started to know each other. We met in person, and it was just, it flowed with us. But we were not like, okay, I wasn't like, if he doesn't respond to me within 2 hours, I'm gonna lose my shit. It wasn't like that. Like I knew that he was busy. I knew that he would get back to me when he could. It wasn't like he was going days without responding to me or anything like that. It was just, it's life. Like people are not obligated to respond to you within so many hours. Now, if it's like days at a time, yeah, that's kind of shady. But like she was saying, 2, 3, 4+ hours, that is okay. Like if he's responding to you within that time frame, why would you be upset? Because hopefully this guy has a good job. He's focused in his career. He has hobbies. He has a life outside of texting and responding to random online dating messages. And he's doing his thing. If he wants to pursue you, he will. You'll let him do that without becoming needy and attaching and clingy, which comes to my second point. She asked him to change and said that she needed a response within like a short amount of time. Now she's talking like right away. Okay. So immediately she just took that potential relationship and just pushed him back. Like he's like, wait a second. We've never met. I don't owe you anything. We're not dating. I don't owe you an explanation. And he said that he does that with everybody. His response to her was, he does that to everybody and he doesn't think he needs to change. And he is right. He does not need to change. It is not her. It's unfair for her to ask him to change. It's unfair to ask the person you're dating to change. Okay. This is a time to get to know someone. If you can't handle something that they do, then you need to move on because they're not going to change for you. They're not married to you. You don't have a ring on your finger. Like, and even if you did, you can't change someone. Like there's things that might irritate me about my husband at times, right? But it is not my responsibility to say you have to change, right? Unless it's something that is detrimental to our relationship or marriage. I have the choice to either leave, he either, changes or I leave, but that's different. I'm not talking about things like that. I'm talking about, I hear women say, well, I can change how he dresses. No, you can't. You can't do that. Like that's him. That's how he expresses who he is. Or they'll say, change how he communicates. No, you can't. You can work together and grow together as a couple, but when you're newly dating, especially, you can't expect someone to change, especially over something like this communication time limit that she has created in her head. And she obviously is not listening to people that give her good advice because her friends were like telling her to move on. And also in the question, there was like threads of other women telling her to move on too. Like, oh girl, I want to stand that. You're being too needy. You're being too needy and you're being too unrealistic, and you're going to push good, high quality men away because of that. if someone, let's like change the table or like kind of change the situation. If I was single and a guy, actually, this did happen to me. I was single at the time. This was years ago. I was chatting with some guy, never met him, and I didn't respond within some, I don't remember. I don't even remember. Like, I have a life. I have friends, I have kids. I have things going on. I have a business that I'm running. Like, I have a life, dude. And I didn't respond to him right away or something. And he got pissed off, and I'm like, whatever. And never like responded to him again. Like, if you're going to show me that like right in the beginning, then I know you're not worth my time and you're not my person, because I don't like someone who tries to control a situation, try to control or change me because they don't like how I do something. That's who I am. So when you meet someone, you meet your potential high quality man, he is already going to be probably established in his ways, right? And there are going to be things that you don't like. If it's not something that goes totally against your values or your heuristics or who you are or what you ultimately want in a long-term relationship, then there's things you're going to have to just like let go. Like, if he doesn't dress exactly like you want him to, or he doesn't respond within the hour, then you're just going to have to like let it go. There's things that just don't matter long term. Okay. So let's say this guy, maybe when he does respond, he's giving her his full attention, which is great, right? So when he responds, he's giving her his attention. He's not distracted by work. He's not distracted with this or that. He's giving her his full attention. And a lot of times when men are, especially like men, when they're at work, they're at work. If my man doesn't respond to me all day long and I text him, it's not an emergency, I'll send him something like silly meme or something, and he doesn't respond to me while he's working, big deal. Like, who cares? I know he's busy. I know he's at working his butt off and he's out there providing for us. Like, so I'm not upset about it. Now, if it's an emergency, it'd be a totally different thing. But it's not, men are focused on what they're doing. Like, they're focused. If they're at work, they're at work usually. Like, they are focused. So they're not going to respond to like silly text messages back and forth. But women, we multitask all the time. Like, we'll be working and having a conversation and feeding a kid and like doing all these things. And our brain, it's like we have a million tabs open at once, right? So we can have a whole conversation with our best friend in a text message while we're doing something else. And that's just how we communicate. But men are different. Men are like, when they're in a task, they're in that task. And when they communicate, they don't really, like, I've never heard a man say that they like to text. So when they do text, it's usually short, simple, and to the point, which is just how their brains work. When women communicate, usually we can write like a whole story and a whole paragraph, and we can like go on and on and on and on and on back and forth. And like, my husband makes fun of me sometimes. He's like, because we all have these like group messages going on with it's like several of my girlfriends, and like we'll like a bunch of us will like respond really quickly, and it's like 30 messages, and he's like, I don't know how you do that. Like, that's a lot at once. Like, I don't, and my phone's like constantly going off. I have to turn it like this ringer off because it's so much. So men do not want to do that, right? Women, we're okay with that because that's just how we're made. So you have to remember too that men and women communicate differently, and that's okay. And it's so important as a single woman to learn that men are not going to communicate like you. They're not going to communicate like your girlfriends, and they're not meant to. You have to separate. Okay, I have my girlfriends, we communicate one way. I have my partner, and we communicate a different way. Men and women are built different in how we communicate, how we process things, how we respond to relationships, even what we're looking for in a future partner. So it's so important to learn the mind of a man, because it's so important to understand him. You're not going to understand him completely, but to understand him and how he functions, so that you don't look at it as a perspective of he doesn't care, or he's not responding quick enough, or his texts are short and I don't feel like he wants to communicate and all that stuff, because that's not the case usually. I mean, sometimes it is, but usually it's not. You have to step into the shoes. It's so important. And men should do this with women too, but I'm talking to you ladies. So women need to learn how men communicate. It's totally different than how women communicate. And I've had to even learn this with my kids. Like, I've read a book recently. What was it called? The Respect Effect for Moms of Boys. And it was mind blowing to me because it went into the details of how boys communicate differently than their moms, and moms communicate differently with their daughters, and they're like communicate with their daughters like a daughter wants to communicate. But when it comes to their boys, it's like it can cause like conflict, it can cause miscommunication, because men and women communicate differently, no matter if it's with your children or if it's with your partner, your husband. Men and women communicate differently. It's just how we're built. So this book went into details on how moms can communicate better with their sons. And women are very emotional. We like to talk a lot. We like to communicate. We like to go down into all the feelings and really dig deep into that. And I love to do that, but I'm surrounded by men, my kids and my husband. And I had to really I was reading this book and I was telling my husband about it. He's like, that's what I've been trying to tell you. It's like, that's exactly how we communicate and how we process things and how, so it's been a challenge for me, and I'm trying to do better with my communication with my children. And it's always a learning process. And I studied communication. Like, that was my degree. I studied interpersonal communication, intimate communication, and it's still a learning process for me. So it's just about making the effort to start somewhere on how to learn the mindset and what makes up men. Because if we don't do that, there's going to be so much miscommunication in your relationship. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to get disappointed. But when you really understand the differences between men and women and how we communicate, you'll start to see like, oh, he does care. Like, that's just how he processes things. It's okay. Like, step back, step out of your feelings, and step back into the logic of how we communicate. Because, like, for example, like, I can sit there and express my feelings and express all this stuff, but my husband would just get to the point. Like, just say it, like, get right to the point, and not expressing feelings, not getting into all that deep stuff. And that's just how he's built. And often you have to look at their love languages too. This is another point, and I'm going completely off on a tangent right now, but like, the love languages are so important, because that can be a form of communication too. If you feel unloved in a relationship, it could be just because you want to express love 2 different ways. So, but it all goes back to learning to step into the mindset of how a man processes things and communicates. Because like this girl was saying that he won't change. She was trying to change him. Like, that's a lot. Like, you're putting a lot on this guy that you don't even know. And I bet, I can almost guarantee this guy like doesn't end up meeting her because of how she responded. She didn't just lean back, let him be him, let him pursue her and be that woman. Instead, she decided to be controlling, needy, clingy, and doing all the things to make him draw back and not want to meet her. You gotta let a man be a man, bottom line. So, and the fact that she was listening to her friends that were giving really bad advice, that's a big no-no. Don't listen to friends that don't have a good relationship or that are not dating successfully. Okay, so that is all I want to share with you today. Just lean back, ladies. Let the man be the man. Try to learn how men think and communicate with them like they communicate. And they should be doing the same. They should be learning about you too. But we can only start with us, right? You can't change someone else, but you can change yourself. And when we start to make that change within ourselves, that's when like the miracles happen. And that's when the good relationships come in. When your mindset starts to change and you can really tune in to the male perspective, and you can tune into the man, you will start to attract the high quality man. And high quality men love that about women. They love the women that lean back and let them be the man, right? They don't pressure them. They don't, or the high quality man doesn't want the woman that nags him, pressures him, tries to control him, tries to change him. That will immediately push a good man away. Okay, so those are just my nuggets of dating advice today. I hope you all enjoyed that. And please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And make sure I have a new program out. It is called Manifest Your Man, How to Attract, Find, and Keep a High Quality Man. I have so many good resources around that topic. So definitely dig in. I'll leave the link below. It's a webinar with all the information on how to do that. And I have more to come. When you buy that program, you also get a free online show with a bunch of experts that have that, have even more information for you about how to do that successfully. So we're here to support you. Definitely grab that program. And I will see you next time on Dating Boutique TV or on the podcast. Love you guys. Bye.